Yeah.
So let me just I've got about 5 or 6 scriptures here that I'd like to get through and get y'all's response to it. I'll just go one at a time. So the first scripture I'm going to have you throw up is Revelation 22 verse 12. And he says, "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be." So when you see a verse that has to do with Christ's second coming, almost always it's associated with reward. So there's one verse. Anybody got a comment on that? Let me keep going.
Well, I
So
mean, just a small comment is that there's there's your faith. There's your walking by faith. Because the instant gratification, the reward of somebody patting you on the back and telling you how holy and righteous and how good you are, God says you have your reward, right? But here we understand because Jesus Christ hasn't come back yet. So
right.
any motivation that I have to seek after reward, I have to believe that He's a rewarder. Because if I don't believe that He's a rewarder, because when's He going to give the rewards out? It
But you could
says
already
right
see it,
here,
it
that
wouldn't be
right?
faith, right?
Yeah, my reward is with me, and He's going to give those out. That when He comes back, and He hasn't come back yet, so you have to believe that, but believe by faith that you must believe that He is a what? Rewarder. Because if you don't believe that He's going to come back, and you don't believe that He's going to reward you for praying in secret, or not letting the left hand do it with the right hand doing, if you don't believe that, you're going to be very motivated to do one of two things: to be a hypocrite, just like the Pharisees were, to let everybody see everything they were doing, to make everybody think you're holy, or to live in the world. So the only motivation that you have as a believer to live righteous in this world is you have to walk by faith, believing that one day God's going to come back, and He is not unrighteous to forget it. He's going to pay you back. And every believer has to understand that that's going to happen when He returns.
Yeah, I would just like to say that one of the characters of God, okay, so we know that God is rich. Okay, I don't think anyone would doubt that God's not rich. He'd be like the gazillionaire, right? And he is he is the benefactor. Am I saying that correctly? He's the benefactor. We're the beneficiary. He's the benefactor, and as the benefactor, his design is to care for his creation. Okay, he created the Garden of Eden. He put the man and woman in the garden to tend to it. He cared for them. They had need of nothing. Okay, so from the very beginning, we see that the character of God is to care for his creation, right? He takes care of the sparrows. He takes care of the mountain goats. You know, he takes care of all the animals. So that is his character. So you have this gazillionaire who cares for his creation, and he doesn't want to share the glory with anyone. He says, he won't share the glory with anyone. So when you step in to help someone who's poor, that's why it says in Proverbs 19:17, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. Because see, God's not going to share his glory with anyone. Thank you for caring for this person, but I'm going to pay you back.
Right.
So you can't outgive God. You can try. Donald Trump or Bill Gates could give all their money away if they do it in faith, right? To help the poor, and God says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm going to give you back even more than what you, because I'm not sure. I'm the one that cares for my creation, and I'm glad you're helping out, but you're just lending to me. I'm going to pay you back."
You think about those children, Mike, that came, they were slaves for a long time in Egypt, right? They didn't have riches or anything, but when they came out of Egypt, guess what they had? They had all these riches from, where did they get it from?
From the Egyptians.
Yeah, but God is the one that gave it to them.
Right.
In other words, they had nothing. They had nothing when they were slaves, and all of a sudden they come out. They have all this stuff, and then what did God do? He just wanted them to give of a free and willing heart to put this temple together in the wilderness, right? But in return, God was going to take care of them. So it wasn't like, what are you giving God back? You're giving him back a percentage of what he gave you when you left Egypt, because you had nothing. And so the people that think they have possessions in this world to pay God back are ignorant of the fact that the possessions they have belong to him.
Yeah.
And when you die, who do they belong to?
Right.
Yeah, even our reward is going to be laid at Christ. Even our crowns that we win is going to be laid at Christ's feet. So it's really all grace.
Right.
All right. Well, let's look at a few more scriptures. The next one's going to be Ephesians 6:6. It says, "Not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good will, doing service as to the Lord and not unto men." And there's the key right there. And then knowing. And if I was preaching it, I would say knowing. So everybody would know that when you're serving God, you're doing it because you're contemplating, you are putting it in your brain, knowing that
Knowledge.
whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. Colossians 3, 23 and 24. "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." There's your motivation. Knowing, again, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. And then 2 John verse 8, look to yourselves. Okay. What's motivating you? I would say that. Look to yourselves, that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. Now that's a commandment. That's a commandment to look for reward. It's not a suggestion. It's not a nice little thing you can do if you want to, if you really, really, if you're having a hard time serving God and you just need a little bit of extra motive, here's a little bit of, that's not what it is. This is the main motivation. This is the motivation in serving God. It's not a question of reward versus love. Reward is love. Serving God is for reward is faith. It is obedience. It is pleasing God. There's no way around it. It's not one or the other. It's either this or no, nothing. Well, those verses, the three verses, they all use the word knowing. Knowing that, I mean, serve God with this knowledge in your head. Serve God knowing that He's going to reward you. That's the commandment in those three verses, or those three passages of Scripture.